So I'm Lisa Herbold. Let's see, I first got involved with Mary's Place as a legislative aide to a council member named Nick Licata. And that was probably back in 2009. I think it was probably pretty early days for Mary's Place. Did a little bit of poking around. I can't quite pinpoint the true beginning of Mary's Place, but that was certainly my beginning with the organization. Councilmember Licata at the time was a strong advocate for funding support services to address the homelessness crisis then. And I carried on that advocacy when I became a city council member myself in 2016.
Great. Do you have a favorite memory of working with Mary's Place? Is there like a moment or an interaction that really stands out to you?
Sure. I think there's a couple things. One, again, just in recognizing the work that Nick Licata did. One of your shelters was named Bianca's Place in recognition of a child's book that he wrote. And when he wrote the book, it was sort of a published version of a story that he used to tell his daughter, Evie, Bianca, at the time. And so just the naming of one of your homes for families after a book that Nick wrote was, I thought, very sweet and befitting his leadership and commitment to helping Mary's Place. I think another thing that sticks out in my mind is one time a little contingent of folks from Mary's Place came by and brought me a really lovely poster board full of notes from board members and families that stayed at Mary's Place, thanking me for work I'd done in securing funding for one of Mary's Place's programs. The third thing that sticks out in my head is in 2012. Again, this is before I became a council member. Councilmember Nick Licata, and I was his staff person, so I helped organize this event. We actually had a council committee meeting at Mary's Place, so that rather than having the subject matter participants come to City Hall at our where we normally have council meetings, we brought City Hall out to Mary's Place to conduct our official business there. And we also, I believe, at that meeting announced the No Child Sleeps Outside campaign that again, myself and Nick Licata were, I think, instrumental in championing the funding to address the needs of families with children living unsheltered.
Those are wonderful memories. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
What impact have you seen Mary's Place have in the Seattle community?
I mean, obviously, the ability to serve the needs of families with children is a felt and very important critical impact. But also, Mary's Place has been a really good advocate for public policy and an advocate for recognizing the special needs of unsheltered families who have children. And they've really, I think, done an incredible job in their advocacy role. One example I could give is there's a system that providers all over the country have to use called the coordinated entry system. And it's a way of prioritizing who gets access to beds and spaces. And it's a way of identifying like who are the most vulnerable people in our communities and who should be prioritized. And for a long time, Mary's Place was really frustrated because everybody had to go through that system, which was a very bureaucratic and cumbersome system. But then there were times when they had vacancies and they just wanted to open their doors and welcome a family in their doors without having to go through that system. And they were successful in that advocacy. It was, I think, a really important moment for Mary's Place to be able to respond to immediate need and a recognition that when you've got kiddos sleeping outside, you have to be able to do that.
Over your time working with Mary's Place, how have you seen the organization change and grow?
Is in all the ways that you would want an organization that is so crucial to our community to change and grow. It's your advocacy has gotten stronger and more sophisticated. The number of spaces that you have available to to offer people have become more plentiful. And I think Mary's Place is really considered to be the voice for families with children in our community. It not just the voice, but also the place where people can be safe and warm and loved, welcomed.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of an event, or if you can't think of one event, maybe like a time period that you think is particularly important when discussing the history of the organization?
I think for me, as somebody who was around City Hall back when we created the 10-year plan to end homelessness, we, myself and Marty and Nick Licata at the time, we thought really like, okay, we're not gonna try to end homelessness, but we're gonna crack this nut. We are going to quantify the number of families with children who are living outside, and we are going to make it possible for all of those people to come in, because that's a finite number of people. We can create um, uh, resources that will help serve every family. And it was a tangible number of families, but we weren't successful in achieving that campaign, much like the 10-year campaign to end homelessness was not successful in 10 years. We had set a goal for ourselves, I think for a year, to house what were about 400 families. And that was challenging. That was frustrating for me personally. I know it was every time I see Marty speak publicly, I see um, how it tears at the fabric of her advocacy and um, her passion for this issue. It's just so evident. But the fact that um, it feels like ending homelessness for families who are living unsheltered is still out of our reach. I think it's an important reminder that you need to always be redoubling your efforts and working harder, working smarter, and building support throughout the entire community for these goals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you think about the future of Mary's Place, what do you want to see that look like?
I don't want Seattle to be a city where children sleep outside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what success looks like to me. We are a city with so many resources and so much wealth, and we need to make sure that we are tending to the greatest needs of those with the least first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you. That was my final question, but is there anything else you want to share about your experiences working with Mary's Place, or
I'm
any other
gonna
memories or insights?
Not so much something to say, but I am going to look for. I know I captured an image of that poster. I'm going to look for it, and if I find it, I'll send it to you, and you can include it in your sort of time capsule on SharePoint.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you. That would be great. Thank you so
absolutely.
much.
Thanks, Glenn. It's great meeting
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and thank you for sitting down and talking with me. I really enjoyed hearing all of your insights about your experiences with Mary's Place. So
No,
thank you so much.
I'm a huge fan. Tell Marty I said hi.
I will. Yeah.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.